Hi everyone, TSW here, and in this video I'm going to be covering 10 things that I want testing in TBC Beta. I don't currently have TBC Beta access, and I might not necessarily get it, so if anyone's watching this with TBC Beta access, please reach out and test some of this for me. I'd love to know the answers. So starting off really quickly, we just get this one out of the way. Number 1, it's the 30 instance daily lockout. This is something that Blizzard have said that they want to address. I don't know whether or not it's going to be unlimited daily lockouts, but currently in Classic WoW, you have a 30 instance daily lockout, which is to help prevent botters, they say. Mostly it just infuriates the community. So hopefully this is removed in TBC, but this would probably be the first thing I test. Just run in and out of a dungeon, resetting it 30 times and seeing if you could jump in the 31st time into that dungeon, because this will mean that dungeon leveling is viable and it will make a lot of people happy. And even if you're questing in the open world and you don't intend to do dungeons whilst leveling, it means that so many people on your server are in dungeons playing, and it gives you that freedom of questing solo. Much better for both parties, the dungeon grinders and the people who are questing in the world. Number 2, proc uptime as well as mechanics to an extent. There are several items in WoW Classic which suck because of really bad proc uptime. I'm talking Annihilator, I'm talking Nightfall, those kind of items which have been very popular on private servers, but they are really not used at all in WoW Classic. So it would be really interesting just to double check, confirm what the uptimes are on Annihilator, Nightfall, and also Thunder Fury. What kind of state are we going to have Thunder Fury in? How much threat are we going to be getting from Thunder Fury? How viable will it be? And also level 70 items like Blade of Wizardry, things like that. So that's a BoE Epic level 70 item which procs haste, which could be very powerful depending on how often you have that haste buff. So just run down a load of items and see how good they are. This could be a really good gold making idea if we know at some point during the beta that Annihilator is going to be the meta to help push physical DPS in your raids. This could mean that maybe rogues become more viable, or at least viable quicker into the end of tier 5, tier 6, when you're able to have good armor penetration on the target. Number 3. Am I getting better at these number callouts? Maiden of Pain is a NPC in Hellfire Peninsula which gives you a haste buff if you mind control her. So what this is a world buff ? People are very polarized about world buffs. Most people want them out of the game. Blizzard have said that they have heard the community's concern, so I don't think that we're going to have these powerful buffs in raids. We will see. It's something that needs testing so that we can either complain about it or we can rejoice and have a good time testing other things, but it's something that needs to be tested. So this mind control buff from the Maiden of Pain is called Whipped Frenzy. It increases your attack speed by 30% for 5 minutes. It's not quite WarChief's Blessing. It only lasts for 5 minutes, but in tier 4 we have fairly short raids, Magtheridon's Lair and Gruul's Lair. You could definitely kill the first little bit of trash in Gruul's Lair and the first boss, High King Mulgar, in under 5 minutes with a good group using this haste buff. Speaking of haste buffs, we also have Hellscream's Warsong. This is essentially WarChief's Blessing in the Burning Crusade, and I don't think this is going to persist once you enter a raid portal. It's identical to WarChief's Blessing. It lasts 1 hour, 300 hit points, 15% haste, and 10 mana per 5. It's horde only as well, so if this is going to be used as a meta world buff, bring out the mind control caps again, guys. It's going to be awkward. Number 4. Checking vendors for limited supply items. Now, I assume that Blizzard's intention with the limited supply items are going to be the same as Classic, but it's something to check and just to confirm more than anything. These are mainly the profession patterns, such as Primal Might Transmute, the Imbued Netherweave Tunic pattern, and the Adamantite Rod, and so on. These are items that really help leveling your professions, and you save a lot of money having these patterns because they're simple items to craft, or in the case of the Adamantite Rod, these are absolutely required to further skill your enchanting. You rely on a blacksmith having that pattern, or else you can't make your rod. Number 5. The beta will be our best place to see what Blizzard has in store in terms of #SomeChanges. Will there be different class balancing like we've already heard for the Paladin in TBC? Are any racials potentially going to be tweaked? Changes to the arena system? Are we going to get engineering goggles on launch, or is that going to wait until patch 2.1 like it was in retail, which would be phase 3? Number 6. Can you enter heroics without the heroic key? Now this was a bug, I assume it's a bug. I mean, it was available throughout the whole of TBC. It seems odd that it was never fixed, but anyway, you just needed one person in the party to have the heroic key, and you could get all 5 of the party members into that heroic. What you do is you have the leader of the party, or promote them to leader, the person with the heroic key. Cool. Then you enter the normal mode, the dungeon on normal mode. So you have everyone in normal mode, that's fine. Or you could just have the leader stand outside. Anyway, get the people without the key in the normal mode, okay? And you log off in the normal mode. And then the leader is outside of the dungeon. They flick the difficulty of the dungeon to heroic. And then the leader walks into the heroic version of the instance. So what you should have, the setup is on heroic mode, the person with the key online. And on normal mode, without the key, the 4 people without the key, offline. Okay? And then the 4 people who are offline log back in, and they will join the heroic mode version of the dungeon. Now, originally, I thought maybe we could be seeing people selling this as a service, but the fact that it always requires one person with the key means that you wouldn't be able to necessarily... they'd always have to find one person with the key to enter as the 5th person, and they could just use that person to do this bug. But anyway, it would be really interesting to see if this is an intended bug. It doesn't seem intended at all that you can just enter heroics without the key. Number 7, can you summon to Tempest Keep dungeons? Now, I assume that this is 99% not going to be the case, but it is something that is worth checking out. So in the original version of TBC, you were not able to summon to the Tempest Keep dungeons. It was a requirement that you got yourself there, so that required a flying mount because those dungeons are up in the air. But eventually, they were changed so you could be summoned to the Tempest Keep 5-mans and the raid. But it's just something to check and see if that can be abused, because you can save a lot of money and save a lot of time if you can just yoink people up to those dungeons as part of their Kara attunement, and to get them attuned and into Kara that much quicker. Number 8. The Old Hillsbrad Foothills Escort Quest. Now this is an infamous quest in Burning Crusade. It has you follow this boring NPC that talks to you about all the lore and interesting things in each of the dungeons, blah blah blah. We don't really care. We just want to get the attunement done. This is a required quest to get into Kara, and everyone on the server who is entering Kara has to do this quest. It takes between 5 and 7 minutes, and it's an absolute bore. Probably one of the worst quests in the game, unless you want to learn about the instances, in which case, it sheds some light on that. But for the most part, it's really annoying. There may be lots of PvP griefing going on, and it would be really nice to test it to see if you can perhaps grab the quest and then die to PvP, and then as long as you're alive at the end when the NPC finally finishes the entire route of the escort, because it's just a circle that the NPC walks in, and if you, for example, res just as she's entering the area to complete the quest, if you could just res, the quest is done, you get the complete, and then it's all good. Or if you can just accept the quest and just stay alive and then not even follow your NPC, you could go AFK and then come back, and once the NPC finishes her patrol, does the quest then get completed? This is the sort of thing that I could see Blizzard potentially wanting to change to make it more friendly on PvP servers, so you don't have to walk around and follow the NPC when it's in a very griefable state. Number 9. We have the Flask of Petrification. In vanilla, we really like the Petri Flasks. It basically makes you immune to all damage, and you can just click off the buff and continue going as if nothing happened. You can be immune to all damage, survive Sapphiron's AoE, you can pull aggro on any mob, and it'll just go back to the tank, hopefully, if you pull aggro. And it's fundamentally changed towards the end of TBC because it was abused originally. In the beginning of TBC, guilds were doing Gruul's Lair and using the Petrification Flask to be immune to certain boss mechanics, which is really cool. I think it's fun, but I can see that being fixed. And in its later state in the Burning Crusade, it's just one of those things that is worth checking up on, because it could lead to wild and wonderful things, particularly when the requirement for Black Lotus is so much less, because you're going to be using, for the most part, the Outland elixirs and flasks. Also, with the introduction of these consumables not stacking with each other, you've just got the battle and the guardian elixirs, and then the flasks which don't stack with either of those. And then finally, number 10. Can we do any insane pulls like we see in the boosting meta for Zul'Gurub and Maradon? Can we pull entire TBC dungeons at once? Is there any way that we can go to the last boss early, perhaps, once we're level 70? Or more so, in my opinion, my focus, can we pull entire dungeons whilst leveling and get insane XP per hour on our quest to level 70? So that's been my list of 10. I'm sure there are plenty of things that I forgot. Please let me know in the comments what you would want testing in the TBC beta. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit me up with a like. Subscribe if you want to see some more TBC content, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!